Welcome, everybody, to another session of Speakers Live. I'm your host, Ching Yu Tan, and today we have an exciting guest coming on board. He is known as the Internet Insider, and he'll be sharing with us what companies ought to know about marketing that's hurting their bottom lines. And if you happen to be joining us live right now, type in hashtag live so that we know you are here with us today. And then, of course, if you're watching on the replay, type in hashtag replay. We would love to see who is joining us on the stream and on the replays. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce and bring on my guest, Simon Leung.
Hello, Ching Yu. Nice to see you. Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, and great to have you, Simon, and everybody. As you can see, Simon also has the Summit shirt on. He is one of the co-founders of our parent company, Summit, but he is also the CEO of Groove Asia and multiple companies across the board. So, share with us, Simon. What is your history behind how you claimed or got the title the Internet Insider?
That's a funny story. I mean, it's not that anything that was claimed. I think it was something once upon a time, as they say. I used to work at Google, and so as a corporate employee, I was there for about 5 years. One of the original uh, employees and team members who created the optimization team, who created the agency team, actually developed a lot of the fundamental strategies, the core of the system that still works to this very day. And so, with that, when I attended my very first internet marketing seminar, this was all the way back in 2005, 2006, I basically introduced myself as somebody who worked at Google. And of course, at that point in time, all the attendees there, even all of the speakers, the event organizer, right? They're like, wow, you work at Google, like this was something that was completely revolutionary to them, right? Because they've always been trying to crack the code on how Google works, the algorithm, the strategies behind it. And here they are talking to this guy who says that he works inside of Google. So at that point in time, I was coined the Google Insider because I was working at Google at the time. And of course, at that time, I was very inspired. I was just an employee. I didn't think anything of it. But as the inspiration goes, I learned from a lot of the speakers who were there, got inspired by them to ultimately become an internet entrepreneur and a marketer myself. And so as time went on, because this was all the way back in 2005, 2006, in internet years, right? It's like decades or even centuries, right? It was something really unheard of because most people who are around these days, obviously some of the newer ones, even if you were around in the beginning of the pandemic in March of 2020, you more or less, you're a veteran right now, right? You're kind of like, oh, wow, you're old school because so many people are learning new things. And here I was, being a marketer since 1997, made money online for the very first time. Over 20 years ago, and then ultimately becoming an internet entrepreneur and a marketer myself full time into the industry around August of 2006. That's why they call me the internet insiders, because according to them, in internet years, that's pretty old school, right? And so, as they say, the rest is history. It's been, oh, I don't know, 15, 16 years now since all those happened. And it feels like it was just yesterday, but definitely when it comes to so many things that have happened, over that last decade and a half, and especially during these last 2 years, so many additional progression in everything that we're doing. I definitely think that, a very historic moment all the way back then. That's why they call me the internet insider. But at the same time, I think there's so many more that we have to go through, so many more that will continue to progress as time goes on. And so with that, I foresee there will be many, many more internet insiders to come.
Yeah, great to know. I mean, it's very hard to find someone as experienced and as OG as you as they would say. And so with closing into 2 decades since
Crazy.
being coined as the internet insider. What are you up to now, and what you're helping companies or people with nowadays?
What's really interesting, Ching Yu, is that we're kind of going back to the basics, right? As internet marketers, as trainers, as speakers, people who really want to help others around the world. A lot of times, what we had really been focusing on, right, is doing live events, doing training, and maybe the opportunity, to travel around the world, meet people, impact lives from all walks of life. That's something that was heavily been focused on for the better part of the past 15, 16 years since I've been a quote unquote full time internet entrepreneur, a speaker, a platform speaker, and a trainer. I would say over the last 2 years, obviously things have changed. It wasn't even until this year that we were finally able to leave the island of Penang. And I was stuck here for the last 2 years. I know that you had the chance to come visit as well. We hung out in Penang a couple of times. But actually, that trip to KL, where we met at the house of the founder of Summit, Mr. John Chong, that was our first cross state trip in over 2 years. And previously, it was significantly different, right? We would travel every single week. It was like literally every single week. We had an office in Penang, we had an office in KL. At the very bare minimum, we will have one event every week in KL. But at the very same time, working alongside with different event organizers, also working within summits and creating our own events, we would oftentimes travel every single month, hop on a plane to another country somewhere around the world. It was really an interesting lifestyle, right? And so, with all of that, of course, things suddenly changed in March of 2020. We no longer are able to physically travel to different countries. We cannot go and meet people face to face. We haven't done one live, actual in person seminar during these last 2 years. And so, as you can imagine, everything that we can do right now is limited to what we can do on the internet. Everything is limited to what we can do online via gatherings. And I would probably say, even for most of us, we know the last 2 years have been very impactful. Things absolutely changed, not necessarily for the better. There's been loss of jobs, loss of businesses, loss of life, but we also know that it wasn't just a pandemic. Right, it was also different ways of economic crisis. There's inflation. We were just talking about oil right before we came on because we're in times of war, and things just got really political, things got really complicated. And so as we transition and realize, we are in a brand new world now, we need to adapt. And so with all of that, we go back to the basics, right? It's not just a matter of doing live courses. It's not just a matter of teaching classes. It's not just a matter of mentorship. Over the past year and a half, 2 years or so, we basically are able to help people, help companies through a very fundamental way called building a community. No longer are people just another number, right? You're not just a regular student. You're not just somebody who attended our class one time, because I'll tell you, when I was an active speaker traveling around the world, I would oftentimes meet hundreds of people every single week. There is absolutely no way I would be able to remember all of them, right? Oftentimes I go back to events and people come up to me, hey, so, great to see you again, right? It's been 1 year, it's been 2 years, it's been 5 years. And for the life of me, I cannot remember who they are. Nice to see you too, man, right? And that's the way that you address people. You don't remember their name, you don't know who they are, but you don't want to sound like an idiot, like, who are you, right? You say, nice to see you too, buddy. It's been a while, right? Remind me again, right, where we met, and reconnect that way. And so with all of that, now we don't need to do that because we are able to build that community. And within the community, I would say it's a blessing in disguise, right? It completely changed our model. It allowed us to be able to connect with people in a much more personalized way. No longer are you, wait, who are you again, right? Now you're Ching Yu, the guy that we're working very closely with, that we're meeting with every single day, working very much hand in hand in a variety of our different projects. And that is the exact same way that we also get to work with other fellow members of our community, right? So for anybody who is interested to not only join us in the education, in the training, learning how to use the platform and using different kinds of software to run his or her own internet marketing, online or offline businesses, right? If you want to take that one level higher and you say, hey, let's figure out a way that we can work together. Let's figure out how I can also become a leader, how I can also train other people and teach them the way that you've taught us, how we can improve in our day to day lives and our businesses, right? Well, now we have a community where we're not only building up the community members as students, we are also building the leaders and the entrepreneurs of the future, right? And so, with that, whether they are regular aspiring entrepreneurs, whether they're regular mom and pop shops, small companies, big companies, we pride ourselves now with the ability to be able to reach more lives, help them, and change them all at once by building a community as opposed to say, hey, we're having an event this Wednesday night at 9 p.m. or next month on this date and this time. Be there or be squared, right? And after the event, that's it. See you when I see you. Right now, we have a community where we are in touch all the time. And whenever, right, somebody has an interest in reaching that next higher level, then we know that they are somebody that we want as a leader within our community as well. So very differently, obviously, from the way that we've been doing things before, but at the very same time, a lot more impactful. And I believe this is also the wave of the future.
Yeah. So you mentioned, the keyword has been community, 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 right? So do you think that, I'm sure that for the past 2 years, as everybody went into lockdown, all of the competition, I'm sure many business owners, corporations out there would understand. Anyone who has put a single dollar in ads for the past 2 years, they would have seen their costs just shoot through the roof because all of the competitors are forced online.
Yep.
So, would you say that moving forward, the future is really in building communities when it comes to marketing?
It is absolutely for me at least, and for what we're doing. Here's the caveat, right? Building a community is what works for us. Why? Because ever since the beginning, and of course, this is in no way saying that this is not how other speakers or event organization companies or other organizations are actually running, but for us, right, we know that ever since the beginning, we wanted to make a difference. We wanted to make an impact. It sounds cliche, I know, but the reason why the community aspect works for us is because that is the core of our being, that is the core of our business model, that is what we believe in. And so, with all of that, the community aspect will only work if you truly care about your customers, if you truly care about your members, if you truly care about helping others. Because, and you can attest to this, right, Ching Yu? You will get a lot of people who want to connect with you, who will ask you questions. You will get bombarded with questions. We will meet very often, and a lot of times it might also seem like none of the things that we're doing is worth our while on a business standpoint, because as entrepreneurs, entrepreneurship 101 means that you need to figure out long-term successes. You need to figure out what actually does work for you and what is it that you need to do in order for you to think 5 years ahead, 10 years ahead, 15, 20 years ahead, so that you know that what you're doing right now is actually something that works for you. With that said, that mentality is not for everybody, right? There are people who want that money yesterday. There are people who want those results right now. There are people who cannot wait another 3 months, 6 months, or a year because of personal goals, because of personal survival reasons, right? Because, of course, it is a means to a way for you to actually survive and to exist in this world, which is you need to start making money. Now, if that is the mentality, nothing wrong with that. It's something that we all need. But if you don't have the resources in your life right now to be able to build a community slowly but surely and work with grooming people whom you truly care about in terms of their personal well-being, in terms of their successes, in terms of everything that they plan to accomplish in their lives, then the community aspect is absolutely not for you. You and I both know, Ching Yu, that over the last couple of years, not just because of the pandemic, not just because of inflation, not just because of the economic crisis, but for a variety of different reasons, we see many companies fold. Right within the industry, we see speakers who are not around anymore. We see event organization companies who had to close down. Even if you go out and you take a look, you go to Queens Bay, you go to a mall, you go to some of your favorite restaurants, you see that they're no longer around, right? And a lot of times, it's not because they don't care about their customers, it's because, on a business standpoint, in Malaysia, we say they cannot tahan anymore lah, right? They cannot withstand anymore. The pressure is there. The bills are piling up. They're not, they're not getting any richer. They're not getting any younger. They have to go and explore other opportunities and see what works well for them. So for that, right, if money is an issue, if it is important for you to have that income coming in, you have no choice, right? You don't have the time to be building that community. This is not for you. Now, if on the other hand, you are interested and you have people who are within the community and you know that you care about their personal well being, right? If people come to you and they say, I have this problem, right? My family is in they're having health issues, or maybe we're having financial issues, or we're having different other kinds of challenges that we're facing, right? You need to be willing to listen to them. You need to be willing to be empathetic and also work with them, support them in the ways that we have been, right, Chin Yu, what we're talking about. And, we see all the different committee members who are right here with us right now as well. Just to give you an example, last year, Tata Corvera, who lives in the Philippines, there was flooding, there was the hurricane there. And what we did inside of our community is we decided that we would do our own internal fundraising and bring the funds to help with the people who are experiencing those kinds of problems, right? You need to have this kind of a giving heart, right? You need to be able to literally care about each other, like authentically care about each other, not just saying it. Anybody can say whatever they want, right? But as they say, action speaks louder than words. And so with people like Tok Tok, right, she shared with us that there are problems that are going on within the country of Philippines, and we did what we can to help, right? And with Sandy, right, she has personal issues, and that as a community, even within our own personal protege team, we did what we can to also support you, Sandy, as well, to make sure that at least, even though we can't be there for you physically and in person, she's all the way in the US, we really, support her in a way where we're sharing messages. You sent her a video, a personalized video, and we basically communicate to her that, hey, we're here for you, right? This is the kind of environment, the kind of community that you need to build, if in fact that is the way that you're doing it, right? Michael is saying community, community, community. Yes, absolutely, right? If you want to build a community, you need to absolutely care. And that's why we have people join us from all around the world, right? We have Ned, and then we also have Karen. We also have John Chong, who is also obviously the founder of Summit, join us live. This is why we're able to attract high quality people like this, because it's not just a one-way street, right? It's not building a community just to say, hey, we have a Facebook group, right? Join us over here. Hey, subscribe to our channel and watch our content. We literally communicate with you. Yesterday we had another protege meeting. The day before, we had another mentorship meeting. The day before, we had meetings with the rest of our community members. This is something that really takes investment of your time, your energy, and your effort. If you do not care, if you are not up for it, this is not the model for you, right? However, if on the other hand, right, and the best possible way that you can see the the most effective way for you to build and nurture your community members is just to see what we do, right? Join us in our communities, see how we do this, the way that we not only deliver but over deliver time and time and time again in content, in personal care, in making sure that we reach out to you personally to make sure that you get the help that you need, the support that you need, the mentorship to guide you towards your own personal goals, right? This is the way and the only right way for us to be building this community. And when you can do that correctly, not only will your business prosper, but so will your members. And that is what building a community is all about.
Yeah, and as Michael says, we stick together for real, right? And definitely with the community that you have built, of course, together with John and all of us, it community can be a buzzword for some companies out there, right? And then they it's something beyond virtue signaling, right? People see through your actions, and building a community is a way where you are able to generate a loyal base, where you're able to build that support for your brand, for your company, for your growth. But not only that, we find that companies tend to struggle to find the right talents, to find the right way to get their message out there. But by investing the time and effort and care into a community, it comes back many folds. Although yes, it is a long-term play, not a short-term play. Yep. And so, what would you say? You know, Given what we've talked about communities in marketing in general, what are the general blind spots that companies tend to have nowadays that is costing their bottom lines?
Well, as you mentioned earlier, Chinyu, right? I mean, over the last couple of years, any company, regardless of your one man, one woman team, one person team, solopreneur, or a big company, we have been forced to go online, right? Obviously, things have been changing progressively, and some people perceive to be a good way, others may not. But regardless, I think online marketing is one aspect that we cannot neglect. I've been kind of preaching this for the better part of the past decade and a half. I've been doing this for over 20 years. So when we say that all these different companies are forced to go online, right? They are. But unfortunately, many of them are not doing it effectively, right? They haven't been trained to do it. They don't have the experience. They kind of got forced and pushed into it all of a sudden. And so as a result, they're not really as effective as they can be. One thing that I'm seeing as a mistake that many businesses are doing is they're not really diversifying, right? They're learning one strategy. Perhaps they want to identify SEO as something that they want to use as a strategy. That's the only thing that they do. Some people will say, Facebook ads obviously is the way to go. And so they focus on Facebook ads. And unfortunately, one size does not fit all. We know that things change. We know that we need to adapt. And especially with Facebook ads, this over the last several months, the results have been roller coaster, right, up and down, because recently there's been big changes such as the iOS change that happened a few months ago. And so with all of that, we know that we also need to prepare just in case something doesn't necessarily happen the way that we anticipate to. Just because something works really well today or this month or this year, it doesn't mean that it will the next time around. And so diversification, none understanding that one size does not fit all is extremely important. But in addition to that, I believe that many companies also neglected the need to adapt, right? The way that we adapt into doing different things. If we know that now we need to go online, right? Some people don't want to do that, and some people say, I don't want to go on live streams, I don't want to do webinars, I'm not comfortable with building communities, I don't want to talk to people, I don't want to be that mentor, right? This is the reason: the lack of motivation, commitment, and interest to adapt to what is necessary in order for the survival of your businesses, of your partnerships, and everything in between. This is why so many businesses failed over the past 2 years. It's why we see one after another. And let's not talk about the regular mom and pop shops. Let's not talk about, the malls, because they have no choice. They have rent, right, that they need to pay. And if the entire country is locked down, no customers are coming, then they have no choice but to close that off. This is something that unfortunately has been a reality over the past 2 years. But if, let's say, we're talking about event organization companies, if, let's say, we're talking about regular speakers or any other businesses that can very easily go online, I would probably say a lot of those companies either, again, did not choose to adapt, or they actually never took it seriously and never did it effectively. And so they threw in the towel, they gave up before the opportunity for them to actually make that change. And let's just say, for Summit, right? We definitely adapted. And not to say that we didn't make mistakes, not to say that we couldn't have done things better, not to say things, could have had ran as effectively as they could have been. But the fact of the matter is that for every single day of the last 2 years, we continue to explore, to brainstorm, and to adapt every single step of the way, to the point where now that we also transitioned into what we call the brand new summit. Some might call it the Summit 2.0, right? We're focusing online instead of offline events, instead of live seminars, in-person meetings, right? We're focusing online. And in terms of expansion, just like with our other communities within GrooveAsia.cm, as what we talked about earlier, right? We're literally expanding right here from the comfort of our own homes online via Facebook, via Zoom, via other forms of social media like YouTube and Twitter and Instagram, TikTok, right? We are expanding globally. We're expanding into different languages. We're building communities with members from all around the world. We have leaders right now who are not just here in Malaysia, but also in Singapore, right? In Indonesia, with people in Japan, in Canada, in Hong Kong, in Taiwan, in Thailand, in Vietnam. Now looking into expanding even more, right, into other parts of the world as well. And, obviously not just within Southeast Asia, we also have Australia and, in Nigeria, UK, so many more. And so it really is a matter of understanding that diversity that we talked about, right? Understanding not just the diversity, but also to diversify using a variety of different strategies that force us to go online, but not just go online just to play around and to post things on social media, have a nice little message on Facebook and call it a day, right? Internet marketing on its own can be a full-time duty. In fact, it's more than full-time. You can spend 80 to 100 hours per person, right, every single week on social media and internet marketing strategies, and you can still be left with hundreds of hours worth of additional work that still needs to get done. So take it seriously. If you treat this like a hobby, you will get hobby results. If you treat this like a business, you will get business results. But more importantly, you need to treat it like a serious business and not just as a solopreneur. I've been doing, solopreneur stuff for a very long time in different aspects of my business, but the way that I know from experience that we grow, that we expand, that many, I believe, going back to your question, the businesses that are out there as a blind spot, not implementing, not really doing it effectively, that's hurting their businesses, is really they're not building the teams. They're not building the communities that we just talked about, and not just regular communities, but the leaders within those communities who will be able to step up, right? And say, hey, let's do this together. I see your vision. I want the opportunity to work and partner with you as well in revenue sharing models. Let's go out there and change the world together, right? It's a completely brand new mindset. It's a completely brand new perspective of building businesses. And again, not to say that it will work for every single business out there. You got to make it sure that it's relevant to your product, your service. You got to truly care about building your community, the members and the leaders from within. And when you have, as they say, all the ducks in a row, things will happen. And miracles, as we've seen them time and time again, they can be very real. And so with all of that, I think that this is something that, as we mentioned earlier, something that can effectively be learned by following our lead, do things the way that we do it, and maybe, just maybe, you can improve upon that, and who knows, you'll be even more effective than we are as well.
Great. Thanks for the sharing. So, with all that you've shared, what is the immediate thing that any company can do out there right now to immediately improve their marketing and to see results?
While forcing us to go online, right? I think a lot of it means that exploring different kinds of strategies. And one thing that I noticed that people like to do is they like to do what we call follow the trend, right? They want to see, oh, TikTok right now is very popular. Let's go on TikTok. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And as a result, they may or may not give up on their business, whether or not it works, right? And so with that, what I would probably say right now is, in addition to finding out what works, the best way that any business, and this includes any of our community members who may be watching right now, right? Keeping up not just with the trends, and by trends, I'm talking about platforms like TikTok, like YouTube or LinkedIn, which actually has become more and more popular over the last several months. Facebook ads, keeping up with the different changes as well is also very important because, as we know, if one thing works today, let's say on Facebook ads, it might not work tomorrow or the next day. Earlier, we talked about the iOS changes, right? And unfortunately, that actually closed a lot of businesses. That impacted so many businesses in such a big variety of ways that they actually had to close them down because they depended solely on that one thing, and now that it no longer works, they can no longer sustain, right? It becomes a huge issue when we do not keep up with the trends, but we also need to make sure that not only do we go wide, right? We, yes, explore TikTok, we explore YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook apps. We find out exactly what those algorithm changes are. We find out what to do. So yes, we go wide, but in addition, we also need to go deep. We also need to make sure that we don't just do it one day. If it doesn't work, then move on to the next. You need to know and understand exactly what does work, what doesn't work. And when you start to do all these brand new things, you need to go in with the commitment that you're going to continue to always do it. For example, one of the strategies that we share with our community members, right? And it might sound like, something that we're breathing down their neck and saying, hey, you must do this. And why aren't you doing this? I do not want to play the father role, like breathing down our kids' neck and saying, hey, did you do your homework? Are you doing this today? Are you doing that tomorrow? Are you doing this all the time, right? This is not something that we want to do, but at the same time, right? The repetition of something where you do it over and over and over again, not only is it going to continue to build something deep within your strategies, it's also something that's going to build you long-term results. So for example, one of the strategies that we say, whenever we have anything that you want to promote, whether it is a free report within our community, whether it is a live stream, whether it is a product or a service or a webinar, or anytime that we have a live meeting, what we should do is that we should bring exposure to it, right? Because this is called social media marketing. Social media marketing 101 is that you are making posts, right? And you don't do that just once, you do it over and over and over again. So in order for you to improve any kinds of your marketing, you got to include that consistency, right? Include that as a repetitive task that you continue to do over and over again to the point where it's engraved in your mind that you are a marketer. It doesn't work. It doesn't make a difference. It's not effective at all if we teach you some of the best strategies that have worked in the past, right? We shared that these strategies, among other ones, are those that we're able to in the last launch event that we did last year in June for another one of our communities. We basically used these 100% free strategies over and over and over again to promote within a span of 1 month or so, or maybe a month and a half. And before we knew it, organically, we actually grew into the thousands of members for free. No advertisement, no Facebook ads, no YouTube ads, no Google ads, no TikTok ads, no Twitter ads, no Instagram ads, no ads, advertisement of whatsoever, right? And organically and 100% for free, we were able to recruit different communities, build those memberships. And again, we're sharing these strategies because they work, because it's something that you need to do. So the number one way for you to improve in your marketing is not just to follow the trends. It's not just to figure out, okay, so let's try that thing, or I want to learn that thing, or I want to educate myself and take this course or watch this YouTube video and learn all these things. Nothing will happen if you do not apply them and if you don't apply them consistently. So whether you are an existing community member watching us right now, whether you're one of our proteges, whether you're somebody who's watching us for the first time right here, right now, just know that it's great for you to learn new things. In fact, I am supportive of learning new things. I learn new things all the time, every single day. Always continue to learn, right? But it doesn't make a difference for you to continue to learn and not take any action. So once you learn something proven to work, act on it. Do it. As simple as, making social media posts, as simple as sharing different links, such as this particular live stream. If you can, directly on Facebook, share the link on your Twitter, share the link on your Instagram, but don't just do it today. Do it every single time, right? That you see one of us go live, that you see one of our promotions, that you see one of our meetings, right? Do it over and over and over again. And with that, with the consistency, you will see results. We talked about entrepreneurship 101. We talked about social media 101. This is internet marketing 101, right? It's making sure that you find something that works and then you continue to do it. Don't wait to be asked, just proactively continue to do that. And those who do, you will see the results.
Yep, and the key word is consistency, right? And definitely, we all want to have. We all always hear people say we want multiple streams of income, right? And when it comes to business and what you shared, what we really want is multiple streams of leads, right? So this is where diversity definitely comes in, and where we need to spread the risk of putting all of our eggs, all of our leads into one basket. And I think a lot of companies can get very complacent when they see one channel is working for them, and then they be like, okay, let's put all of money in there. And then what happens? The algorithm changes,
Yeah,
more competitors come in, and then boom, all of their leads starts drying up, and then their business is gone. Like what you mentioned, closed
yeah,
overnight.
yeah,
So with the breadth and the depth of social media nowadays, it feels like every single day a new platform is popping up.
yeah.
You know, how easy is it really, to transfer this knowledge to existing teams and say, hey, you got to keep up with the trends. You've got to learn the latest strategies, and you've got to implement it. For existing companies who may have been around for decades,
Mm.
how easy is it to transfer that kind of knowledge and get those into action?
Well, that's where communities come in, right? Because with communities, on an entrepreneurship level, or whether as a company, you have different people who are staffed on your team, and things like that. The thing is, knowledge and skills can can be transferred. Uh, that's why we're trainers. That's why we have content. That's why within our committees we have mini courses and webinars, because that is our platform, and we use these platforms to be able to transfer that knowledge, to be able to groom our proteges and our future business partners, to ensure that they can also keep up with the high expectations that we have within our own projects as well. So the short answer is yes, the information can be transferred, and can be transferred easily, if on two occasions, okay, on two different different things to consider, different considerations. Number one, how effective is the trainer, right? Let's say that when everything is all said and done, the strategies itself, we know that it works, right? How effective is the trainer in transferring that information? Because everything is teachable, everything is learnable. But at the same time, the person who is teaching the strategy, they must, number one, know what they're doing, know what they're talking about, and have that skill to be able to teach it. That's why, in the internet marketing world, as well as in the event space, right? There's a lot of people who come into the space, and internally, maybe even publicly now, we call them the fake gurus, right? We know that they don't know what they're talking about. We know that they just got started. We know that. And even for me, of course, back in the day, And when I say back in the day, I meant that when we were still able to do live seminars and things like that 2 years ago, we saw probably every single day a brand new advertisement of somebody that I recognize as a student or an attendee who attended my events just the week before, or attended my last intake, my most recent intake of that particular class. And now he or she is out there trying to teach this strategy, pretending to be somebody whom they're not, right? The fake expert, the fake gurus and the fake experts out there of the world, that's what they're doing, right? And so with them, not only do they not have the experience, they don't really have the skills, and of course, they're brand new to coaching and speaking and teaching. They're still trying to learn the ropes, right? So if we get people like that, right, who cannot teach, who don't know what they're talking about, then unfortunately, the students also will not be able to learn. And unfortunately, the employees who are going through those trainings, they also will not be able to get anything out of it as well. So, with that, make sure that whomever you're learning from, whomever is doing the training and the teaching, they are qualified. They know what they're talking about. They have the experience. They have the results to prove, right? To show you and everything to share with you that this is real results that we've been able to get. So, number one, the trainer is very important. Number two, the results also depend on the commitment and the action taking of those individual students and said employees, right? You can have the best teacher in the world. You can have, people like Sir Richard Branson, or you can have Tony Robbins, or you can have Gary Vee, swearing at you and telling you, motivating you to do all this different stuff. And why aren't you? Are you a loser? Blah, 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 whatever else. And you can get motivated or you can get offended, right? One or the other. But if you get offended, that means that you're not going to do anything. If you're motivated, it means that you will make that commitment and you will take that action, right? So you can have the best teachers and the trainers in the world. It ultimately depends on how you receive the information. Are you going to take it to heart? Or is it just something that is going to go in one ear and out the other? Is it something that you don't have any plans to be applying or implementing in the first place, right? Those who succeed are action takers. Write that down. Those who succeed are action takers. If you don't do anything, then nothing will happen. The same thing that nothing happened yesterday when you also didn't do anything, right? So, with that, make sure that in order for any kind of skills and knowledge to be transferred over to existing teams, existing communities, existing leaders, you need to have the right coach to do the training, and you need to have the right action takers who, upon learning the information, he or she and they will collectively take action on all of those, because if they don't, then nothing will happen. It'll just be another piece of information, just like how, a lot of times when I did trainings and we have a class of, let's say, 100 people, for whatever reason, some people will complain, it was too hard. Some people will complain, I didn't learn anything new. Some people will complain, I think it was too advanced. It was something that didn't help me. It wasn't what I'm interested in, right? So 95 of them out of the 100 complain or take no action. But miraculously, 5 people from within that same class who got the exact same training from the exact same trainer, from the exact same mentors in the room with the existing content that everybody has access to, miraculously, 5 people become successful, get results, become millionaires, right? What's the difference? It wasn't the content, it wasn't the environment, it wasn't the trainer, it was the difference in those individuals who took action, right? If you don't do anything, nothing will happen. That is the biggest differentiation. So instead of, and I know it's tempting in times of war, in times of economic crisis, in times of pandemic, it's easy for us to want to complain, right? This can be better. That can be better. My government sucks. My society sucks. All the businesses around me sucks. You can blame everyone else but yourself. But ultimately, when you take responsibility, write that down. When you take responsibility of your own success, your own results. Because if you don't do anything, then nothing will happen. If you complain, nothing will happen. Just like the 95% of the people who never do anything and just think that they got the short end of the stick because they're blaming everything and everyone except for themselves. But the 5% of the people who take action, those are the people who get the results. They get things done. right? So when it comes to anything that is, skills and knowledge, yes, everything can be transferable, but ultimately it depends on the action taker to determine whether or not you get the results at the end.
Yeah, and definitely taking action is key to getting the results. And you mentioned about being able to find the right coach who produces the results, who are able to transfer the knowledge. How would you advise someone, on how to identify a real coach who is able to produce results? Because what I find is that there are a lot of entrepreneurs or business owners. They may be looking for a marketer to go with, and then all they do is look, oh, how many followers do you have, for example, right? They look at these vanity metrics. But how can business owners really identify the real gurus, the real people that produces real results that at the end of the day impacts the bottom line?
That's a great question, Ching Yu, and you're absolutely right. Most people are really after the vanity results. I mean, that's why they call it even, your URL handle. Sometimes they call it the vanity URL, right? Because it's all about you and your branding. And so uh, the thing about popularity, right, is popularity can be bought. Popularity can be attracted. And just because, let's say for example, you follow someone like a Britney Spears, or follow someone like President Trump or ex-President Trump, right, with hundreds of thousands, if not millions of followers, does that mean that this person can necessarily teach you what you need to know? Not necessarily, right? Because they are celebrities in their own right. And sure, celebrities have followers, it's great, good for them, but that's not how you determine value. One thing that's very interesting is that even some of the most influential people in this space. And I'm not talking about people who run ads a lot. And when you run ads a lot, when you buy your own followers and subscribers, when you do a lot of speaking, it's an easy way, right, for you to, in front of crowds of thousands, to say, hey, follow me on my social media. But it doesn't necessarily mean that all those thousands of people who follow them necessarily are getting value from what they're doing. It's because, hey, the speaker is telling me to follow him or her, so let's go ahead and do it, right? How many followers, subscribers, likes that you have does not determine the effectiveness of the speakers. As mentioned, a lot of the different uh, influencers that I know who have a big influence within the wealth creation space, internet marketing spaces, New York Times bestselling authors, literally millionaire makers, right? They don't have a huge following on social media, at least not all of them, right? Because that's not the way that they build their community. That's not the way that they build their database. That's not the way that they build their businesses. Social media is not something that they want to be a part of, right? So what is it that can really determine whether somebody is someone that you can listen to? Here's the thing, right? Depending on what niche you're in, depending on where you might be, depending on your own personal interest, there really is no right or wrong answer. Now, back in the day, obviously when it was with Summit, or whether it's with any one of the live events that I did, one of the one of the ways that I mentioned, to the audience right in front of me, right? I was saying, how there's a lot of ads out there with a whole bunch of people that are saying that this is the one shot thing that you need to learn to be the answer to all of your problems, the solutions to all of your questions, and everything in between. The thing is, how can we set those people apart? Well, number one, and at the time, while we can still do live in person live events, right? I told them, I'm not somebody who goes out there and rents a hotel room or a conference hall for my weekly events, because when you're somebody who does that, this probably means that you have something to hide, right? If we people wanted to come and find you, then where are you, right? The last time that I met you was at this hotel or that hotel. Where's your office located? Now, for me, for Summit and all the legitimate businesses out there, we invite you into our own training center, not just an office, not just a very small room converted into an office or converted into a training center. It is an actual training center, right? Because we know that we're so confident. in not only what we do, we want to invite you into our community. Anybody who walks through that door, right? You come in, we treat you like family. We consider you to be a member of our community already, and we welcome you to come back again anytime that you want to. We build a community directly within our own internal training center because, again, we have nothing to hide. Anyone who needs to come find us, our doors are always open, right? This is how one of the ways that we prove that we're not just anybody out there who wants to run away. If for whatever reason you want to come back and you want to chase us for X, Y, and Z, you know exactly where to find us, right? The support is here, the community is here, all the training takes place right here as well. In addition, it probably just takes a little bit of a more personal kind of conversation. Get to know them, right? Because the thing is, anybody can do a search online. I think one of the bigger strategies, or quote unquote strategies that people say, right? Go online and do a search on their name. Do a search on their name plus the word, scam or whatever else. The thing is, this can so easily be manipulated. And I know that as part of Summit, internally, all of the people that we've worked with, ourselves included, right? Whenever you have different partners who are working with you, or whenever you have people who just don't like you, it's so easy, right, for them to manipulate the content online and create bad videos about you just because they don't like you, right? Because a relationship turns sour, because you're more successful than they are, and so they're jealous. Maybe you're in competition with one another, and so they want to jeopardize you, right? They want to put everything that you've built and kind of throw it all out there just because of the competitive value that they want to have against you, right? With no reality and no truth associated with that. And so with that, I believe it is not the best way anymore, unfortunately, for you to find out reality from fiction. Like, how can you actually tell that from the truth? The best way, and again, this is why we say you must care about your members. You must care about your audience, because you need to have that interest and that compassion, the value to want to connect with individuals so that they have the opportunity to either ask you questions or those around you questions that they need to know. So, what are the right questions that you need to ask? How long have you been around? How long have you been doing internet marketing? Right? Some people will say 6 months, some people will say a year. Depending on how you look at it, it may or may not be enough. For me, I've been making money online since 1997. So take that as what you will. I've got over 20 years of experience, right? How many success stories do you have? Well, some people will probably not be able to share with you even one success story because they're brand new, right? Their own success story, they're trying to make themselves their first success story right there, right now, right? For me personally, I've got over 10,000 success stories from all around the world. What other gurus, veterans in the space actually endorse you, right? Well, with that, I think it's easy for somebody to maybe get one or two if, in fact, they invest themselves. If, let's say, they attended a class from some guru, right? Then they'll say, hey, I paid for this class. I learned this, learned that. Can you give me a testimonial? Can you give me a review? Can you say some nice words about me? And if that trainer is nice, then maybe he or she will, right? So more or less, you have one or two gurus that you know. I have dozens just because, and Ching Yu, I have some of the who's who of wealth creation and internet marketing right here in my phone, as opposed to most of the people who can never reach out to anybody. Like, they won't give you the time of day if they don't know who you are. We're talking about people who have decades of experience. When we reach out to them, they're calling me brother. We're hanging out, we go out for drinks, we go out for food, we go out for hanging out, and just regular buddies, one-on-one, go on vacations and cruises together. This is the kind of relationship that I have with some of the top gurus in the world. And as they say, your network is your net worth, right? So it's also very important, not just who you know, but who knows you. So with that, know who their networks are. Who are you friends with within this space, right? Who are you connected with? These are all very important. Some additional questions, right? We talked about, who you know and who knows you. We talked about, how long you've been in the space. We talked about, your own environment. I think what's also very important is what they're doing right now. What are you doing right now, right? Because If you're saying, well, I'm running around and I'm still, creating content online, or if I'm still wanting to become a YouTuber, right? And there are no teams around you, you don't have successful businesses around you. This is something that is a potential red flag, because it means that they're trying to jump from one opportunity to another to another. What is it really that they are trying to achieve? Now, if their end goal is to sell you one product and say, hey, here's a brand new MLM that you should be trying out, right? Then the red flag is, well, how do I know that in 6 months from now or in 1 year from now, when I devote myself to you and building this team, that you will be there for me when I need you to, until the end, and we're going to be joining hands, hand in hand together to build this community and this business together, right? One thing that you need to understand is that going back to the community is not something that just anybody can do. It is absolutely something that takes up a lot of your mental capability, right? You will put in blood, sweat, tears, and you will see things fail. You will see things not go your way. And when that happens, do you again throw in the towel when your back is against the wall? Do you say, I give up? Or do you say, let's continue and build more members into the community, and let's continue to build this business and find new ways to make this work? One of the best ways that, again, I believe we can learn from anybody, from each other, is to follow what works. And so with our community, again, we grew from zero into the thousands, approaching the tens of thousands within just a matter of the last 9 to 12 months, right? This is something that we truly care about. Again, we're not going just wide, we're going extremely, extremely deep. So know and understand who these people are, right? Is this a guru? Is this a mentor? Is this a teacher that you know that you'll be able to trust? Is this person somebody who is building a community? Does this person also work alongside with other teams where they are truly, regardless of whether it's 12 p.m. or 12 a.m., we are a global community, and doesn't matter, it can be the middle of the night. And you know this, Ching Yu, right? We've been doing events. In fact, I think yesterday or the day before, we're meeting our team members until 1:32 a.m. our time. That's the commitment that we have. And for some of the other, well-known speakers, and you know this, we talked about a few names in the past few days, even, right? They're talking about so and so. Well, if it's in the middle of the night for me, I don't think so, right? I don't see that happening. I don't think that I will be want to do this in the middle of the night my time, because it's my personal time, blah blah blah, whatever else. And of course, to each his or her own. But that's not the commitment that we're looking for. If I have a mentor that I know lives in the US, for example, and we're in completely different time zones, 12 to 15 hours apart, I want to know that in one of my waking hours, I'll be able to reach out to him or her, right? So with that, with the history, having that ability to be able to connect to this person one-on-one, right? Whether or not this person is willing to talk to you in the first place. Are you able to have that personal conversation? If not, they're too, as John Chan likes to say, too diva, right? They don't want to give you the time of day. This person does not care about you, right? And so whether or not somebody cares about you and figuring out the best coach and mentor for yourself, it takes time. Try not to fall into the trap of saying, wow, this person has 1 million followers. Wow, this person is so well known. Wow, this person is so popular. You will never know how suitable somebody is as your personal coach until you have some time to work with them. Talk to them. Are they even willing to have that personal conversation with you in the first place? Have you ever had that personal conversation outside of live streams and webinars? Were you ever in a private meeting with them over Zoom? Right? Whether one-on-one with other leaders or within other members of your team. If they don't even give you that time of day unless it's a public event, then they do not care about you. If they're not sacrificing their own time, their own schedules, they don't care about you. If they're not giving you the content, not just giving you the value, but over delivering time and time and time again, they don't care about you. Do yourself a favor. Find a mentor who cares about you. And if I may be a little bit biased, I will say every single one of our mentors within our community, we care about you. And so with that, follow us. Let us know what is that you need. And maybe, just maybe, there might be a suitable fit. Let's make sure that we help you to change your life as well.
Yeah. Wow. What an amazing sharing that you've given us. Definitely, it's all about verifying nowadays. Verifying. Does the speaker, does the trainer do exactly what they do, or are they hopping on to the next new shiny thing? And definitely, if you want to verify what Simon has shared about himself, together with team, the community that he's built, you can always check out GrooveAsia.cm and the community that's being built on Facebook and across all of the different social medias. And with that, community building is really key. That companies can really look forward in the next years, for the decades to come, even to build that solid foundation for their business. And with that, I see that we've got a question from our founder of Summit, where he asks, what characteristics or traits do you believe successful marketers or businesses have in common?
It's a very interesting question, John, and I think successful marketers and business owners. One of the initial things that I believe John and I were able to connect is because the common characteristics that we have is, again, as cliche as it sounds, we really wanted to provide value. We want to help people to reach their goals, and not just in a regular traditional way of an event organizer, because the traditional way of event organizer is we want to do events, right? And we want to have speakers, and we want to feature those who can sell one after another. And with that, right, the traditional business model is, with that, they basically make money from every single speaker and maximize the audience revenue, so to speak, for every single event. Same thing when it came to the speaker. On the speaker perspective, right, they wanted to attend events where, of course, the event organizer can get hundreds, if not thousands, of people into the room so that they can sell, sell, sell. They don't want to be there and attend events where all they're doing is providing content, because at the end of the day, they also want to make money, right? And they want to make sure that the crowds are extremely huge, and so they can maximize the conversion rate. What's very interesting is that for John and myself, even though we are traditional entrepreneurs, of course, we're businessmen, we want to make sure that our bottom line is met as well. The whole getting thousands of people into the room, the whole sell, sell, sell was not a common belief that we had. The common belief was we wanted to help people. We want to provide education. We wanted to, make sure that those who pursued excellence, right? Those who want to change their lives, to those who want to achieve freedom, that we provide the platform for them to be able to do this. And so for a very long time, whenever possible, Summit, as an event organizer, we wanted to do events where we didn't focus necessarily on the big numbers, because we wanted to change lives one person at a time. And we wanted to work with speakers who didn't necessarily want to promote their thousands and thousands of dollars worth of courses, because when we expand into places like Vietnam or Thailand or even Indonesia, right, where not everybody who attends these events necessarily have the funds to be able to invest thousands into their own education, well, unfortunately, we cannot invite those kind of speakers who don't want to quote unquote waste their time, right? And for me personally, I also didn't necessarily want to always sell, because I knew that I can touch lives one person at a time in a much smaller room by providing free content to them, which I know that they can implement, they can apply right then and there, even if they never have to invest in anything. So, with that, I would probably say once we shared our characteristics, once we shared our vision, once we shared the kind of traits that we both, believed in, it became something that almost made sense. It fit like a glove, right? Because with that, we knew that the ultimate goal was not just to make money, to get thousands of people into the room, but rather to provide that value to the masses. And so when we started working together, right, we did smaller events. We talked to people, in the dozens, maybe into the 30, 40, 50, into small rooms, and we didn't sell them anything. That was the kind of events that we wanted to do, because we want to give back, we want to provide value, and especially in economic crisis, in times of war and pandemic and everything in between, right? We knew that we want to do something that gave back to the actual community, which at that time If I were to find other event organizers who wanted to do the same thing, good luck, right? As an event organizer, if you want to find other speakers who want to do the same thing, good luck, right? So with that, I think sharing the same belief, sharing the same passion, sharing the same vision, especially very, very important. Okay. So, not to say that you must be somebody who wants to give back, not to say that you cannot sell anything, that you only want to talk to 10 or 20 people. You need to have the same belief. If you happen to be a speaker who wants to sell, then you want to work with an event organizer who also wants you to sell. If you want to speak at a stage with thousands of people, then you need to work with an organizer who has that money focused goal in mind to sell to thousands of people to bring that platform to you. Right. So, again, what that means is that you must have that same belief. You must have that same cohesion. You must have that same compatibility. Now, for what I do, and the reason why we're able to build the community into the thousands and why we're having so many of us in the communities right here right now who are continuing right to find value in what we share is because they happen to share the same visions as we do as well. And so that's why you mentioned Groove Asia earlier, right? With the GrooveAsia.cm community, with that, what we did is collectively our vision, our goal, our mission is to achieve freedom by changing lives around the world together. And so I'm sure you will agree, right, Chinyu, that it takes a certain element of mindset. It takes a certain element of belief. It takes a certain element of the kind of character whom you are to be able to not only be a part of that community, but lead that community as well. We have seen many people in the community who came, who say that they believe in the same vision, who want to lead and then go away and disappear. Why? Because they never cared about you in the first place. They only cared about themselves. That's why they're no longer around because they realize that we truly are building a community. Yes, we are also a business and money is made in the process. But if you don't want to put in the efforts, you don't want to put in the time, the blood, sweat, tears that we talked about, and at the same time helping other people while helping yourself, right? And you only want to help yourself, then this community is not for you. So you must have that cohesion. You must have that same click, right? That same belief. You must share in the same belief. Otherwise, it's not gonna work. And so that's why, Mr. Zhang Chang, you and I work so well because obviously our traits are very similar. Our personalities are also very similar. We also, notice and acknowledge a lot of the talents that we have within our groups. That's why we choose and agree on the same leaders. And that's why, Mr. Ching Yu, you're the CMO and the CEO of our multiple companies because you, of course, share in those same personality traits as well.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for that, Simon. And as we can see, we've got our community leaders joining us. Michael, of course, all the way from France. Sharing how the whole community is dedicated to the success of true courageous entrepreneurs. And then we have another leader from Australian. His name is Nicholas. He shares, get a mentor that will spend time with you. Great teachers will care enough to help you succeed by standing by you and with you through it all. And he continues, we love what we do because we do what we love, changing lives all around the world through education and dedication. And of course, we have Trader Rob all the way from the US, sharing that we are family. Get up, everybody, and sing. And you can see the love that is flowing through this community that Simon and all of the leaders are building. And of course, Tak Tak, all the way from the Philippines, sharing with us, how she loves this community. And it's really amazing, this community the seed that you've planted to be able to grow this community, to see it flourishing over the past few months. And this community has only been what was it 9 months, 10 months old.
Nine
Yeah.
months. We launched in June of 2021. But with that, I mean, it's obviously not just me. It takes, as they say, two hands to clap. But in our case, we have many hands all clapping and applauding and supporting each other. We cannot do it, obviously, without people like you, Ching Yu. We cannot do it without people like Tak Tak, who is also our super VGA, who is leading the way and helping a lot of the assistant duties. Mr. Michael, Mr. Nicholas, and so many people. Obviously, John and Terrence as well. I mean, we really are that family, right? Trader Rob as well, who is obviously in the U.S. and very supportive of everything that we do. And it really is a matter, right, of working together, having that same belief. And we're very lucky to be working amongst friends who believe in the same thing and share the same vision. We know that we're changing lives.
Yep. And as Trader Rob is asking, was Simon switched out with a robot in 2020 because he is always here to help and to be the ultimate leader, because he always shows up and he's there, to give so much value to the community. So, with that, as we can see, Simon's a real deal. That's why the community is here. They show up. They show their love and support. And with that, what final parting words do you have to share with those of us who is joining us live here today or on the replay?
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is, you can watch any guru out there. I mean, there's no shortage of content, right? YouTube videos, you can go attend webinars, you can be part of different communities. Ultimately, the biggest takeaway is that action speaks louder than words, right? A picture is also worth thousands of words. I believe in leading by example. And I don't know too many people who will be here. And I know that we're, over an hour here already. But if you want, we can be here for hours more because that is the kind of dedication that we have. And for the mini courses that I have, we don't just say, hey, be here for the next 90 minutes or 2 hours, whatever else. Sometimes we over deliver into 5 hours, 6 hours, and 7 hours, and it doesn't even cover the gist of what we plan to cover for you. And there's so much more in terms of follow up, continued education that we just continue to over deliver along the way. That's how you know that you're in the right place. When you are somebody who can lead by example and you are somebody who can do things yourself, don't just depend on others, right, to get things done. Lead by example. Once we say, hey, why don't you share this and let others see you as a leader to, when they come to your profile and they see all these things that are happening right there, let others model you. You can talk, anybody can train, anybody can teach, but unfortunately, most people won't listen or do anything. So, with all of that, the biggest takeaway that we can have is that you need to don't let anybody convince you that you need to be a leader. You need to convince yourself. As we say, do it yourself, prove that things work. Otherwise, invite them. Invite anybody who doesn't believe in you or what you do, invite them to prove you wrong. When you're in that position and you're so confident in something that you believe in that you say, I challenge you to prove me wrong, then you know that you are in the right place. You know that you have the right attitude. You know that you have the confidence to be able to accomplish anything that you want as well. Now, I may be just a little bit biased, right? But whenever I say, hey, find somebody whom has that caring mentality, somebody who wants to work with you, somebody that is leading a community with people that you want to be a part of. I might be biased, but I will say, hey, for the easiest, and whether it's because you want to join us or whether it's because you want to learn from us and model after what we do, follow our lead within not just summits, but also GrooveAsia.cm. We put in the time to provide tons of value, tons of efforts to over deliver, from free reports to live mini courses to meetings, training sessions, one-on-one sessions that we have with you, webinars, and so much more, most of which are legitimately free. FREE free. That's how much we care about your own personal success. I challenge you now to prove me wrong that we are the only community out there who actually does this in this capacity, where we even reach out to you, create our own personal groups to mentor you, coach you, work with you one on one if we need to. right? And we continue to do that and elevate you to your success. I believe there is nobody else out there who does it as effectively as we do. There might be other gurus with bigger names. There might be other communities with more people, but I guarantee that there is nobody who does it the way that we do, in the way that we know we care about you as well as your results. Prove me wrong, right? Because I know that if this is not their business model, if this is not something that they wanted to do, build their communities, it's not going to last very long. So if this is not your business model, even though it's not something that you planned it to be, you never thought of building a community, you never thought of being a leader, in order for you to be successful in today's online and offline world for the long haul, prepare it to be. Prepare this to be your business model, because this is what needs to be done in order for anything to work. Now, I know we personally, right here at Groove Asia, as well as a summit, we spoiled the market, right? We spoiled the market with so much free information. We've grown massively as a result. So if you want to compete with us, if anybody wants to compete with us, be our guest, but you need to keep up, right? You need to keep up. In order for you to keep up, you need to know what we're doing. And this is our open invitation. Whether you are a competitor, you're coming in with the wrong intentions, or you're coming in with the right intentions, time will tell. But it doesn't matter. We invite you to join us within our community, because hopefully one day you will see our vision the way that we see it as well, and we will be able to do it together. And when you do, we will be more than happy to follow you as well to see what works. And the basis of this is that we want to do this together as a team. So with all of that, I do want to appreciate your time, Ching Yu. I want to appreciate all of your time for watching us here today as well. And as always, we're going to see you all the way at the very top.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Simon, for sharing with us, your wealth of knowledge, always so generous with your knowledge and the value that you share with the community. You are truly leading by example, as Michelle shares with us from Australia. And then Trader Rob, shares with us, being an example is scary until you realize that you have always been an example. So it's really within us to be our best. Even though we're not perfect, we just go out there, do it, be an example. And then, yeah, Michelle says, thank you, Simon and Ching Yu. Thank you for joining us, Michelle. And of course, we have a Tuk Tuk as well, saying thank you, Boss Sai and John, for believing in her. Groove Asia molds her a lot. And, we are so fortunate to have amazing people and leaders like yourself, Tak Tak. We really continue looking forward to nurture, help, and support you and learn from each other as well. And Michael shares with us, we see the blooming of our community like a flower in spring. We are definitely blooming, and there's a lot more to come. And of course, we have a Sandy from the US, all the way in New Mexico, putting your hands up for us. And then Nicholas shares with us, your results are our results. That's why we care about you. Come join us and catch the vision of a shared community vision. So definitely, Karen also shares thanks. And John says, adios, amigos. For those of you who would like to learn more, thanks, Nat. Definitely check out the community at GrooveAsia.cm. You can join us in our Facebook group, and to learn more of, if you like to engage Simon in your speaking engagement or potential JV partnerships, feel free to reach out to us at speakerslive@summitspeakerbureau.com. I repeat, it's speakerslive@summitspeakerbureau.com. And follow us on our social media channels. And if you'd like to learn more about the Summit Speaker Bureau, you can go to our website, www.summitspeakerbureau.com. We will be streaming live every Thursday at 9 p.m. for Speakers Live by Summit Speaker Bureau. So make sure, once again, follow us at Summit Speaker, and we look forward to seeing you in the next session. So thank you very much for joining us live and watching the replay. See you all next time. Ciao for now.